here's my take. From the start of his entry into political life, Donald Trump has had one enduring advantage. He's a rich businessman, and he played a super successful one on television.
You're fired.
So the feeling is he must know how to grow the economy. In fact, almost everything Trump proposes would have the opposite effect. Take his most important proposals, ones that he talked about at length at the Chicago Economic Club this past week, sweeping tariffs on all imported goods. It's rare to find a topic on which economists agree as strongly as they do that this would be bad for growth and cause inflation to spike. Take a look at what happened when Trump placed tariffs on imported washing machines in 2018. That tax, paid by companies like Best Buy, was passed on to consumers, leading to sharply higher prices for imported machines. Soon, domestically made ones raised prices too. Local manufacturing of washers did increase by about 2,000 jobs in the year or so after the tariffs were implemented, ironically, mostly at Samsung and LG factories in the US. An important study found that in that time, American consumers paid around $1.5 billion in higher costs to gain those jobs, or a staggering $815,000 per job. The tariffs finally expired in 2023 and imports spiked, suggesting their effects were temporary. And that doesn't take into account the cost to American jobs when foreign nations retaliate and place tariffs on American goods. When China retaliated against Trump's tariffs by raising its own taxes on American agricultural exports, Trump paid tens of billions of dollars in subsidies to American farming companies to compensate them for their lost business in China. Most of these subsidies, by the way, went to large American agro businesses. The effects of tariff policies are inherently regressive. The average American consumer pays for them, and the benefits go to a small number of favored industries and companies. They're also inherently political, favoring lobbyists and well-connected companies. The government always issues some exemptions from tariffs, and an academic study found that the Trump administration was significantly more likely to grant exemptions to companies that donated money to Republicans. The study's co-author concluded that the tariff exemption grant process functioned as a very effective spoil system, allowing the administration of the day to reward its political friends and punish its enemies. Tariffs also tend to be immortal. They often stay on far longer than the problem they are trying to solve remains relevant, especially when the beneficiary companies lobby hard to keep them in place. The United States has a 25% tariff on imported light trucks. It was put in place as a retaliation for France and West Germany's tariffs on American chicken in 1964. The chicken tariffs are long gone, but 60 years later, the truck tariff remains. These examples are all small bore, specific tariffs on one or two goods. Trump's proposal of sweeping taxes on all imported goods would have much broader implications. The Peterson Institute concluded that depending on how fully Trump would carry out his policies, the American economy would be 2.8% to 9.7% smaller than otherwise by 2028, and inflation would be between 4.1 percentage points and 7.4 percentage points higher than otherwise by 2026. The Center for American Progress Action Fund calculated that the typical American family would pay up to $3,900 more for goods and services each year. Add to this Trump's plan for mass deportation of undocumented workers at a time when unemployment is at a close to 50-year low, and you will almost certainly have a shortage of workers, which will lead to higher wages. Now, this may sound good, but it would certainly contribute to inflation. The deportation proposal also cannot fully capture the loss of innovation to the economy, given that immigrants are disproportionately more likely than native-born citizens to start businesses. The damage these proposals would wreak on the American economy is much greater than any supposedly anti-business proposals a Democrat might offer, say an increase in corporate taxes. But the Biden-Harris administration has also too readily jumped onto the tariff bandwagon. Having campaigned against Trump's China tariffs, Biden largely kept them on. One of Trump's strongest lines in his debate with Harris was to point out that if she opposed his tariff proposals, how come she and Biden have kept most of them? Recently, the Biden administration completed an exhaustive review of Trump's tariffs, and it showed that the tariffs have been fairly ineffective in changing China's behavior and also in revitalizing American manufacturing. And yet, the administration concluded that the tariffs should be kept on or even increased because maybe at some point they would work. In an age when government intervention is in vogue, let us not forget the main lesson from decades of economic policy around the world. Countries that embraced markets and trade have been the ones that grew fast and raised the incomes of their people. Countries that used taxes, tariffs, and regulations to give the government a major role in steering the economy generally got low growth and lots of corruption. That Trump can embrace the latter model is a reminder that this celebrity businessman doesn't really understand business. For more, go to cnn.com/Fareed to read my recent Washington Post column on the subject.